This segment sponsored by Viking Psychiatry.
Welcome to Mental Health Matters. I am here at Viking Psychiatry to speak to them about their different options for treating anxiety. Let's go in and chat with their owner. I am here with Sean Goddard, who is the owner of Viking Psychiatry. Hi, Sean.
Hey, so good to talk to you.
You too. Okay, in case this is someone's first time hearing about Viking Psychiatry, please give us an overview.
Yeah, Viking Psychiatry, we've been in Fort Wayne for about 3 years now, and we consider ourselves an interventional psychiatry practice. And so what that means is we look at providing treatment options that maybe are a little bit outside the box, but also provide immediate intervention and a difference in mental health.
And mental health is just so important that we focus on it. And I know that you specifically have treatments for anxiety. Talk to me about those treatments.
Yeah, so we offer a couple options here. You know, anxiety can be such a crippling process for folks. It affects not only our mental health, it affects our physical health, right? We can have bodies, aches, pains, all those types of things. It can affect our sleep and our ability to go to sleep. It can affect us in so many different ways. And when you look at traditional treatment options that are available in psychiatry, a lot of them cause side effects, right? They make us sleepier, right? And even less productive, right, than what we want to be. And it makes it even harder sometimes to go through life and adapt through life. And so we've looked at offering treatment options that hopefully don't have those side effects, or if there are side effects, they're very short-lived, right? And so we offer TMS for depression with anxiety, because often those go hand in hand. We also offer, one of the things we're really excited about is ketamine, and that's IV ketamine infusions for anxiety.
Okay, so let's talk about ketamine a bit more. Why is that such a great option for treating anxiety?
You know, anxiety, like we talked about, it impacts mental health so much and in so many different ways. And it can be crippling, right? When people think about mental health, they often think about depression or schizophrenia, and anxiety is often dismissed, right? Or swept under the rug. And I often see in the case, especially of women and young girls, right, that they go in and see a provider, oh, you just have anxiety, right? And deal with it, or here's a pill for it, right? But anxiety can affect people their entire life. We recently treated a lady that was in her 70s who'd been dealing with anxiety her entire life, and prescription after prescription, and not gaining any benefit. And I'd really like to share her story.
Yes, please. I was going to ask, like, what is a really great story that kind of drives the attention of ketamine and the success?
Yeah, so in this case, this lady, like I said, she was in her 70s. She tried medication after medication, and she actually is a very holistic individual herself, comes from the mental health field, had spent her entire life helping other people, but struggled to even get help herself or get improvement herself. And so she came to us and she said, I've heard about ketamine, I've researched it, and I want to do it. I'm in my 70s, I'm afraid you won't treat me, right? And as long as there's no medical indications that you're not eligible, age is not necessarily a factor to prevent somebody from getting treatment. And so we performed our 6 infusions on this young lady. And you know, after her first infusion, she's like, you know, I don't really see much of a difference, and I don't know if this is going to work, right? Because she'd been disappointed so much in her process of treating anxiety. But by her 6th treatment, she had a profound impact and improvement. This was a lady that started doing self-care more, taking care of things, doing things that she needed to. She had a personal situation in her life that had been causing her a lot of stress and anxiety that she'd been putting off and putting off and putting off, and therapists and providers telling her, you need to take care of this. And for the first time, she did it on her own, right? And she started going out with her friends again and enjoying life, right? And so just this profound change. Her scores overall related to anxiety dropped almost 90% after only 3 weeks of treatment. She's now herself about 4 weeks post-treatment, still doing extremely well. But it just goes to show what a significant impact it can make in such a short difference when she had spent 20, 30 years of treatment for anxiety with no improvement and dealing with the same thing while life continued to mount more pressures and more stress on her.
Wow, sounds like she really developed empowerment, you know, out of that. Like
Absolutely.
she saw new hope And that is so amazing. And so I know that your office really focuses on the holistic approach. And so tell me some of the natural ways that you like to treat anxiety.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not always about a medication. It's not always about ketamine, right? It's not always about TMS. What it's about is changing quality of life for folks, right? And I talk about it all the time. I say, you know, feet in motion, brain in motion, right? So when we're sedentary, we're not moving, we're not feeling well, and we don't get up and we don't move, then our brain continues to not feel well. So I work with people on the side of exercise and movement. And exercise doesn't mean going to a gym and lifting weights. It doesn't have to be that, right? It can be nature walks. It can be going outside and grounding. There are studies that show if you go outside and you take your shoes off and you plant your feet in the ground, that we actually release ions into the ground, and we allow ourselves to simplify it, to be recentered, right? And to release some of that negative energy. And some people go, oh, that's, you know, mumbo jumbo and that's not real stuff, but it is. They've done studies on it and watched the transmission occurring, right? And so it's using vitamins, just simple, correct multivitamins, which is important because there's a lot of garbage out there. There are a multitude of studies that show how it affects anxiety, depression, cognition, so many different things. And so then we look at each individual, whether through gene testing, right? And we look at individuals that have what are called a COMT variant, and a couple other things that affect how we respond and how we transport our chemicals. And so we look, are there ways that we can adjust that through supplementation, like something as simple as something called SAMe. So there are ways to tackle depression, anxiety, mental health without necessarily being a medication. And if it does need to be medication or an intervention, we're happy to do that for folks. But finding a way that works well for people is what's important.
Okay, well, awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing today.
Thank you. Pleasure.
And if you would like more information about Viking Psychiatry, we'll have their website listed below, and I'll see you after the break.
This segment sponsored by Viking Psychiatry.